I'm one of those guys who honestly believe the Raiders are best suited in Oakland. However, there are politics that are bigger than all of us that are involved. I don't know how one goes about getting a new stadium. I know you can't put it all on the people, but I also do know the business side of it. Last year Forbes magazine comes out with its ranking. The Raiders are dead last, but they've got one of the most prolific profiles in the league, but they're dead last in the money making, and that's because they don't get the revenue from the stadium. That goes to the A's, and the A's just renewed their lease. You see what I'm saying? So if you're the Raiders, you're kind of the odd man out. What are you to do here? Now, we've all speculated. I've speculated on my show a number of times what Mark could do to sell, to make money, to invest. But no one really, other than the Davis family, knows how much is left, because it was rumored when Al was alive, he only had 51% of the controlling interest of the team. The other 49% was spread out. Well, you can't sell what you don't have. So how do you still become the controlling interest party and make money by selling part of the team? What else can you do? You follow my point? So, because you don't want to be overthrown by a majority in your company. So we're at a crossroad here. I do think the San Antonio deal is a smokescreen. I don't buy into that for a number of reasons. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to allow another team in Texas. That's his empire. He had to split it up when he gave a little bit to Houston. You see what I mean? And when it comes to money talking, well, he makes the most money in the NFL for the NFL with his man cave and everything else, the Dallas Cowboys profile. So he's not going to allow another team in Texas. But we're still at a crossroads, because what do we do? It was last report. I heard that the Raiders were in partnership with a contractor who was eager to do some reconstruction to the stadium if the A's didn't renew their lease. And so then, if they didn't renew the lease, because then you have the time to get in there and do it. And you could probably concede playing a year, maybe at Cal Stadium or somewhere else, whatever. But that's since changed. So I would love, and I'll be honest with you, not just because you guys are sitting here, because I adamantly feel it. I'm going to do everything I can to keep the Raiders in Oakland. Okay? Because I do believe but there are things that are even bigger than me and go beyond my voice. And I don't know what we do. I just don't know how we do it with the current circumstances.
Hey, Lincoln, I got a question for you real quick. What are your thoughts on he gets a lot of people love him and some people don't like him. I'm talking about Coach Gruden. What were your thoughts on Coach Gruden?
I loved Gruden. I thought he was a great coach. I had my best years as a professional under him because this system was so simplistic. I didn't fault Gruden for what he did. He wanted to be paid, respected. He wanted to be respected like he got when he went down to Tampa. I think he gets a little bit more credit than he actually deserves because he inherited a good team and they won a Super Bowl. He beat the old team that he knew like the back of his hand. So, and then you look at what his record afterwards, not even close to what he did. So I think he gets a lot more credit. But nothing against him. Now he's the king of football. It's funny because I was talking with some friends yesterday and we're like, well, what do you think about Gruden coming back to Oakland? I'm like, come on, man, let's be honest. Gruden is making $12 million a year with ESPN. He's got a private jet. He's on Monday Night Football. He's got Gruden's Corner, his own show. Why would he come back to coaching?
Plus, he's got the best commercial. The commercial.
Well, the Hooters, yeah,
he doesn't even have to say anything. Like, how come you always get the best seats? It's like ding, 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 knocks his Super Bowl ring on the thing. It's perfect.
That's how it is.
How many? What do we got? Okay, right here.
Can you tell us about any of your experiences with Al Davis?
The one that I'm most fond of, I was playing in the East-West Shrine game coming out of Washington out of college. And we were practicing, the North team, we were practicing at Stanford. And then we came up the hill, and I saw Al in the distance in his white sweatsuit with the towel in his hand, sucking his teeth with, I don't know how many security guards were around him. And I was walking up at the top of the hill at the old Stanford Stadium, and I was like, wow, that's Al Davis. I'm just cool. And so he's in between us, the field and the locker room. I'm walking over, and I say, you know what? I'm just going to take the liberty and shake his hand and go up to him like a giddy little kid. Little in my perspective, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Hey, Al, Mr. Davis, it's nice to meet you. My name's Lincoln Kennedy. And I know you, son. He's talking in his voice. He's like, we know who you are. We definitely know who you are. And you're probably not going to be, this is his words, you're not going to be around when we have our pick. I think they were picking number 12 that year. And he said, but I promise you one day you'll be a Raider. And I'm like, dude, did you hear that? Al Davis just said I'm going to be a Raider. I was like, oh, man, I like it. And then I started thinking, well, he said I'm not going to be around. How am I going to be a Raider? And then, so that marinated for a little bit. You know, I get drafted. I go number 9 to the Atlanta Falcons, and then I'm having a horrible time in Atlanta. I don't like the run and shoot. I don't like, you know, just didn't like Jerry Glanville. Couldn't stand June Jones. But then, you know, come after my third year now, I was that was the first year of the what is like the current CBA, collective bargaining agreement. And I was the only top 10 rookie who took a minimum deal. Everyone else signed 6-year contracts. I took a 3-year contract because I had a feeling I wasn't going to like this offense or this philosophy. It was run and shoot, completely different than anything I played. And so when it came my third year, I wasn't playing. And Ken Herock, who was affiliated with the Raiders, was the GM with Atlanta. And I went up to his office and I said, Ken, you either cut me or trade me, but I will never play another down in a Falcon uniform. I was adamant about that. I could not stand June Jones. We clashed like, you know, like mayonnaise and oil and water, I should say. But we could not come to agreement. And Ken was like, look, you were our first-round pick 3 years ago. I can't just let you go. I'm like, well, you better find something. Figure something out. 2 days later, I get a call from my agent. He says there's a couple teams interested in you. They want to make a trade for you. Because I was restricted free agent, we had to sign a deal with Atlanta first, agreed to so I could be traded. So he's like, well, Atlanta promises to sign you and then trade you. I'm like, okay, what are some of the teams? And I think they said something like Cincinnati, Chicago, some other places, and they said Oakland Raiders. I said, what? It's like Oakland Raiders. I said, no, wait a minute. Are they going back? Because they were still in L.A. at this time. This was 1996. They were still in L.A., but they were playing up here. I was like, are they going to be in Oakland or are they going to stay in L.A.? I tell you guys, when I was in college and when I first year of public years in the pros, being from San Diego, I came over to L.A. all the time. I partied with those L.A. Raiders. They weren't caring anything about football. On Manhattan Beach, they were living the life. They weren't caring anything about football. So it was in L.A. I never liked the feel of L.A. Growing up in San Diego, L.A. was still, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to be a part of the L.A. Raiders. And he said, no, they're moving back up to Oakland. And I said, okay, well, let's explore this. I like this. Long story short, it came true. Got traded over to Oakland. Day after the trade went through, the Raiders had a mini camp. And we had it at El Segundo. It was the last mini camp we had at El Segundo. And so I got off the plane, booked over there, got dressed, went outside the mini camp. I was standing right there in the practice field. And he says, welcome aboard, Kennedy. I told you you'd be a Raider one day. The rest is history.
That's good stuff. That's awesome. You guys, I want you to give it up for Lincoln Kennedy. It's so nice to hang out with us and answer some questions.